inside. I see the raving lies, stay on the faded vibe. Never wasting time, 1, 2, check on the mic. It's about to go down, it's about to get live. It's about to get live. It's about to get live.
Welcome back to another exciting monthly final. Before we begin, let's get up to speed on what happened last month, starting with East Asia. In the quarterfinals, Reject won Miwa 3-0. Rival Esports won Frenzy Gaming 3-1, and Navi won Effort Result 3-1. But the most exciting matchup has to be Zeta Division going up against Crazy Raccoon. Zeta more than just asserted dominance in the first set, pommeling down Crazy Raccoon safe and took a swift 2-0 in the first set. Crazy Raccoon went on to take the second and third set, putting them to match point. But Zeta said enough is enough, as Shtetampo took the helm and dominated in the fourth set, equalizing the series. Taking it to the fifth set, Zeta showed us why they're the better team, leaving nothing for Crazy Raccoon to work with, closing out their match with a 3-2 victory. Moving on to the semifinals, Reject, although a bit shaky, still proved that they're the better team with a 3-2 victory against Rival Esports, moving them into the grand finals.
Going all the way to the finals, and Rival Esports will sadly be knocked out.
At the other side of the semifinals, Zeta secured their spot in the grand finals after winning Navi 3-1.
It's Zeta Division that are proceeding to the grand final.
Zeta hit their stride in the grand finals, relenting to none, picking up possibly the quickest 3-0 sweep we've seen so far.
Most importantly, Shtetampo and his teammates, they're going to be taking monthly finals number 2.
With all that action, this is where East Asia stands. With Reject, Zeta Division, and Crazy Raccoon within 11 points of each other, this monthly finals will decide who goes to the Brawl Cup. It's all high stakes here, so watch out for that. Moving on to EMEA, an interesting turn of events would be an understatement. In the quarterfinals, while Humble won Reverso Gaming and Foot Esports won Experian NXT both at 3-0, Reply Totem lost to Eclipse R Esport, and SK Gaming lost to Team Electros both at 2-3. Eclipse R Esport went on to 3-0 Humble, a result no one was expecting, but was well deserved as Eclipse R Esport played exceptionally well.
ECP make it happen, and they're going to the finals.
At the other end of the semifinals, Team Electros won 3-1 against Foot Esports. Yet another unexpected but brilliant performance from Team Electros.
And Team Electros took advantage. 2 world champions have now fallen.
With the clash of the underdogs happening in the grand final, there could only be one. And with a sweeping victory at the hands of Eclipse R Esport, they have shown that they are a force to be reckoned with.
And Eclipse R Esports have done it!
Yet another region with an extremely tight margin of points between SK Gaming, Eclipse R Esport, Humble, Team Electros, and Foot Esports. This monthly finals will be a high-stakes event to determine which team will make it to the Brawl Cup. The South America region has shown time and time again the volatility that we've come to know and love, as the teams rumbled it out once more for a higher standing. BC Gaming SA won Olympus Squad 3-2. Loud won Algain Segura 3-0. SK Kalalis SA won Zorita Gang 3-1, and Casa Brawl won Legion Otaku 3-2. Going into the semifinals, Loud was poised to win, but fell short after a 2-3 loss to BC Gaming SA.
BC Gaming, the spins and pins are out. They've done it. They're going on to the grand final.
SK Kalalis SA, however, held their own against February monthly finals champion Casa Brawl, putting up a stunning 3-1 victory.
But to no avail, the reign of terror is over in South America. After 1 year wait, we will have a new Grand Finals champion in our month number 2.
Yet another duel of the underdogs in the Grand Finals, but SK Kalalis SA came out on top with a 3-1 victory.
And SK Kalalis, folks, have done it. Your monthly champions here in SA.
The South American whirlwind rages on, as any of the 8 teams can still grab that spot in the Brawl Cup. Last but not least, we have North America, where the Tribe chants still echo. Tribe Gaming had a rocky start, winning 3-2 against Eternal. Code OG defeated Pioneers 3-1. BC Gaming 3-0 to STMN. And Space Station Gaming won 3-1 against Elevate. Tribe Gaming rode their victory momentum into the semifinals and took a clean sweep against Code OG.
But the boys in blue have done it, moving on to yet another semifinal.
BC Gaming also had a 3-0 of their own against Space Station Gaming.
Pushes in and BC Gaming established themselves. There's a top 2 in North America.
With Tribe revisiting the grand final, all eyes were on BC Gaming to dethrone them. They fought valiantly, but fell short, losing to Tribe Gaming 1-3.
Here's RBM, gonna wrap onto that safe, and that's that.
With 2 monthly final wins under their belt, Tribe Gaming has secured their spot in the Brawl Cup. BC Gaming sits comfortably at second place, but there's a slim chance that their spot might be taken by Elevate, Pioneers, Code OG, or Space Station Gaming. And that has been the recap for the March monthly final. With high-stakes matches happening in East Asia and EMEA, and the whirlwind that is South America, which teams do you think will make it to the Brawl Cup? Stay tuned to find out.
We're back, better than ever, for another year of the Brawl Stars Championship. Teams from around the world will fight for a chance of becoming the Brawl Stars World Champions and their share of the $2 million prize pool. With a new and improved format, there's no telling what might happen this year.
His gadget won't be enough to get the kill, but SK Gaming.
Follow the journey along this spring split. Stars will be born, legends will rise, and the next champion will be crowned. Who will take home the glory of it all? Their story starts right here. Let's get ready to brawl!
We're in day 2 of the April monthly finals, and the tension hasn't dropped one bit. It's time for EMEA. 8 teams are taking the stage today. 4 of them remain in the race to the Brawl Cup, and it's now or never. 8 teams in total, 4 contenders, 2 tickets, and 1 shot at the global stage. I've got the best crew to break it all down with me today. Say hello to Trev, Ark, and Kenny, who's ready to tag in for match number 2. It's the last monthly final before Dallas. Trev, how do you think that kind of pressure changes the approach today?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure on all 8 of these teams, but 4 of them in particular, the ones racing for that Brawl Cup. It's so much pressure. I'm not sure if it's really going to change the way they play, because they're still going to be calm, still going to be composed. This is what they do.
It is, and I hope they do it well today. Now, Ark, we've seen some teams on the rise lately. Others look surprisingly shaky, honestly. Who do you think has momentum coming into today?
Got to be Eclipse or Esport. I mean, taking the last month, I think, to many of our surprises and really blowing us away with their performance. And you know, they have been on the rise for me. We were saying, you know, behind the scenes before the show with Kenny that, you know, this month really is going to prove whether that was a fluke or whether they've really got what it takes to achieve greatness this year. And you know, for teams like Reply Totem 2, I've got my eye on them because they haven't really demonstrated too much this year. It's make or break for them now, in my opinion.
Trev, let's have a look at our leaderboard currently in EMEA. Let's see if any of those favorites today could crack under the pressure.
Yeah, well, similar to East Asia, it's quite tight in the top 4, 5. Obviously, Inner Circle aren't here, so that gives FUT Esports a chance to usurp them and go for those Brawl Cup spots. But SK Gaming still sit on top. Eclipse are 1-2-2 just underneath them, and then 1-19 for Humble. Along with FUT Esports, they're the 4 teams going for it. Heretic, Supermassive, and Reply Totem need to gain some ground, because although they can't make it to the Brawl Cup, they still got to be playing for that postseason.
Yeah, surprising to see Inner Circle this month didn't quite make it through, and Team Heritage, of course, are going to have that slight disadvantage with that little substitution coming in, but Gas is being a fantastic sport for it, and he's a very accomplished player as well, so I'm keen to see whether he can take them forwards in the bracket, because for Team Heretics, last month didn't qualify, and that was a big upset for us to see. Papara Supermassive, though, who didn't back this time around, so got some high hopes on them as they've been getting some good results recently as well, but again, Reply Totem down in 8th. It's a big surprise to see, honestly.
We have 2 Brawl Cup slots up for grabs in the region, and 4 teams are still in the race for that. For every single team around the world that is going to go to Dallas, we have some great news, Trev.
Yeah, well, we've added that extra LCQ spot on as well for the third place team. We'll have a third, fourth playoff, and whoever wins it will take an LCQ spot back for the region, just the same as second place, and then first place still going to be taking home that world final spot. So going to be a lot of patriotism for the regions, cheering them along, because it's going to benefit everybody.
We've seen just how influential the LCQ can really be, haven't we? I mean, a team that comes immediately to mind for me being like STMN back a few years, you know, going through that grueling LCQ bracket of death it was, isn't it? And then going through the world finals, getting second place there and just coming shy to Zeta division on the world stage. I mean, it really can elevate a team that have had a lot of struggles along the way to really land the mark and achieve greatness on that world final stage.
Now keep in mind, we have 4 contenders still for the Brawl Cup, and these are our 4, Trev: SK Gaming, Humble, Foot, and Eclipsar.
Yeah, well, it's an easier road for some rather than others. SK have definitely got the easiest road sitting on top, but yeah, Humble, Foot, Eclipsar, so much to fight for, and it's going to be a big, big grueling battle down the bottom of this bracket, trying to get those spots and head to Dallas, because the Brawl Cup is something that all of these teams will want to go for. So much cash on the line, and obviously as well, bringing home those spots for your regions too.
Everything to play for. This is the bracket for today. We've got first up SK Gaming versus LLC Esports. A big day for SK Gaming. If they can just get that first win on the board, they will be getting their ticket to Dallas stamped. Following that, Papara Supermassive versus Team Heretics. Really excited for that match, to be honest. Both teams didn't qualify last month, so looking to make a statement here today and redeem themselves. Humble versus Reply Totem following that. Again, I've got my firm eye. I want to see Reply Totem really give Humble a good run for their money. And then finally, for the quarterfinals, Foot Esports will take on Eclipsar Esports. That match is set to be a banger also.
We have some pretty close matchups today overall. Honestly, to me, this month has felt like the toughest one to predict. So let's see if that is also reflected in our predictions for today, or if you just copied me again. And everybody did, apart from one. Ark, what's up with that quarterfinal number 4?
You know, every time you say it, Sonny, and I think I've got to make a stand here and demonstrate that we're not copying your homework, you know. I think, let's be honest, going back last month, who could have anticipated that Eclipsar Esports would have, you know, gone the distance, knocking down Humble along the way, by the way, in a 3-0 scoreline. I mean, they are the current reigning champions of the world. That's a big statement. And the question for me is, are they going to still be on top? Was last month a fluke? Have they got what it takes, and have they been doing the prep to maintain that position? Because it's one thing achieving it, but holding on to it and keeping that reign on a region like EMEA is a really, really tough ask. So, and they haven't got the easiest bracket either, but I just have a little bit of faith. I regretted not, you know, siding for them last month, so I'm going to side for them this month.
I feel like we have a pretty fair bracket this month anyway, and yes, was it just a fluke? Can they do it again? For me, I just really went on scrim results again. Let's see if those stats will bite me later on again. Something that is really close to my heart that I'm super excited about. We do have a drawing contest in Brawl Esports, the Brawl Esports fan art contest. And we ask you to draw your favorite moments, your favorite players. You have the chance to win some gems. And the 4 most liked we're looking at right now. For each weekend of the BSC Monthly Finals, we'll have a vote between the 2 of them. So let's also have a look at the 2 that we are voting on right now. You have time until Monday, so head over to our socials right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a common theme here. A lot of Shitampo kind of fans, I think, in the Brawl Esports artist drawing community, I guess. But yeah, Goblin Sky here, got to be my favorite, and it's just incredible seeing all this artwork. I was taking a little scroll through as well, and just every single piece of this fan art contest is just incredible.
Of course, seeing that icon as well, like for the esports skins coming up in a future stream from Kubo there as well with the previous slide. Really like that as well. But of course, the one on the right hand side for me, definitely catching my eye with Tampo and the shade that we've seen him championing over the past few months, and we saw it yesterday as well. Always a delight to see, and great to have incorporated that into the artwork as well.
Well, the people can make up their own minds. Head over to our socials to vote. You don't have to do what those guys are telling you. Don't worry about it. Let's kick off right with our first matchup, don't we? We start with SK Gaming versus LLC. 2 very strong rosters. One of them, I don't know, Trev. SK Gaming didn't look too strong last month. They did, however, win the February monthly finals. They should be the favorites coming into this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're the heavy favourites, to be honest, in this one. SK Gaming, they're a roster that we know and love. Joker, Ope, and Yoshi. 3 very well-versed players when it comes to Brawl esports. As you said, they won the first month. Second month, they took a bit of a hit, but they seem to be in other competitions, back up and running. Had a pretty decent run in the qualifiers as well, but there they are. Obviously, the 3 players of SK Gaming, so solid.
We got some insights from Joker from the side of SK Gaming. Let's hear it.
I think probably it's still Humble, because Humble are the world champions, so I think they're kind of the team to beat and the team everyone wants to face, so we have the chance to knock them down. Qualifying for the Brawl Cup would be a really great achievement for me as a player, but also for my team and for the whole org. Having an international event is really something incredible and something that we play for, so yeah, if we could qualify for the Brawl Cup, that would be really great.
They all want to make it into that global stage, and for SK Gaming, the route is not as long as maybe for other teams today, Trev.
Yeah, nice and simple. Just beat LLC and you go into the Brawl Cup in Dallas. So SK Gaming should be heading on that plane over to the US, because it is, you know, I'm not saying it's an easy run, because LLC I'm sure will put up a big fight, but SK are the heavy favourites coming into this one, and the other 3 guys at the bottom side of the bracket fighting out for the other spot. It's much harder to get to that Brawl Cup.
So it is. They don't have an easy task, though. I feel like the other team can't be underestimated. We have LLC on the other side. They do have a little bit of a roster switch coming into this month, and they immediately qualified for this monthly final arc.
Yeah, they've had certainly some tough matches. This is their sort of time to really make a stand. They didn't qualify for February or March, so there's going to be some nerves there, I feel, as well. But they did manage to have a very close game with SK Gaming in March, but they did manage to come shy. So they've got to redeem themselves here today.
You just mentioned it, Ark, here. We're looking at the March monthly qualifiers, and SK Gaming, it looks like they are the heavy favorites, but they made it close against this team before, Trev.
Yeah, I mean, LLC started to start really strong. I'm sure that's what they'll be trying to do today as well, but SK Gaming just bounced back. LLC couldn't maintain that momentum in the March month qualifiers. They did manage to get set 4, but couldn't quite close it out in set 5, as SK did take that one in. A nice 2-0 and comfortable there in Brawl Ball towards the end, and I think that's kind of what we expect. You know, although SK Gaming, when their back's against the wall, I feel like that's when they play some of the best Brawl stars.
LSC did only qualify, you could say so, over the lower bracket of this monthly qualifier. They did, however, beat the team of Code Guess, which this player will see later on as well, and they are the ones to kick out Inner Circle, Rama's roster. So it's a huge story between those 3 teams later on as well. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later. For now, we have our maps below us here as well. We're going to start on Hideout again, and I'm just super excited to see if we bring out a signature brawler for this region as well. We used to have Shade for East Asia. Yesterday, it seemed to be more the Drake. Her came out a couple of times. Stu was picked up very often. I feel like maybe we'll see something new here as well.
Oh, 93 to 7. It's quite the prediction in terms of SK Gaming here, because they're in a very solid spot overall when it comes to the leaderboard, and obviously this one as well. I think fans kind of, even if it's the first time tuning in, they can just take a little bit of the leaderboard and they'll be kind of knowing who to predict here.
Heading into draft number 1 of today's EMEA monthly final, and we have pretty similar bans as we already had yesterday. Lumi, of course, is going to be banned out. She was banned out 100% yesterday. We'll see if she's ever going to be picked up today, actually. Angela's coming in as first, a good long-range brawler. I do like that pick so far. We have the Kid banned out, Ollie, a lot of aggression from the side of SK Gaming banned out, so they do well in picking those a bit more squishy long-range brawlers here, Ark.
I don't like the Angela pick so early, gotta be honest. I mean, like, there's a lot of brawlers that can really kind of like give Angela a tough time here. Mr. P's fallen off a little bit since the nerf of the hypercharge, to be safe to say, but I mean, it's still a very good choice against it, and many others. Eve wouldn't be a terrible idea, certainly not the map for her, but I mean, Angela has got some weaknesses, so I just think that maybe later in the draft it could have been better. Buster, I love that. I really do love that from LLC. Buster's really elevated now into the meta. We saw it a ton yesterday, mainly because the hypercharge, I was chatting to Drake the other day, and that was one of the first brawlers he said to me was really up there now in terms of the meta in EMEA. So expect to see a lot more of it today, and and since the hypercharge, having that sort of 360 degrees ability to shield your teammates, it can really cause a big hefty push, especially on a map like Hideout.
Yeah, well, let's see if that's going to be a brawler that can really compete, because we know tanks can. It's very, very not a tank heavy map, but they really can do a good job when they get into that little pocket. Obviously, we see the Angelo going to be able to pierce through that wall, if not using the jump gadget, and then Nani should be able to break some of it up as well and remain at range. So nice stuff from SK Gaming here. Seems to be taking a bit of a different approach to what LLC Sport are going for. But other than that, not counting LLC comp out at all, considering they're still going to be able to take a bit of a sharpshooter, and SK might take something a bit more aggressive now.
Yeah, the Nani might indicate a Piper. Meeple going to come in instead, which I think is a pretty decent shout, to be fair. Again, the dice gadget is so prevalent with Meeple. Pretty much able to break bush on command. The Manchester Meeple gadget, as we've seen time and time again, tends to be what players will be gravitating towards in that regard. So certainly probably one of the most powerful gadgets in the game at the moment. I mean, not just to be able to lock players into place and have that area denial, but again, to break that bush is very important. Which, yeah, that's not segueing nicely into Juju, to be completely honest, because it's going to be one of those things that, the Meeple's going to be able to eradicate her strengths, being that bushy area and having that additional range. So I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, I am with Juju on this map, but what they're playing into maybe is not so much. I do like the Buster pick. It's a question of whether LLC are going to play it to perfection, really, though, for me. SK Gaming got a lot of range and a lot of good utility to their disposal, so I kind of have to side a bit more with their comp, despite my love for that Buster pick, which again, I'm sure we're going to see it a lot today, but into so much range, it could prove problematic with the Peep as well, and the Nani to be able to break the wall. This map could be left wide open soon.
Yeah, and I mean, when Yoshi starts getting these supers as well, it can be, heavily punished when Zero gets boxed in these positions. But, we already see this great positioning, but a super was fed very early on for Ope, who gets a really nice early wall break there, so Ramika can't use that as much.
Well, good jukes so far, and SK on the ropes. That Pierce didn't work there for Joker either, and on the right-hand side, Ramika gets a pickup, as does Zero as well in the mid. That's 4 stars. Very swift start from LLC, very aggressive. I like what I'm seeing so far. The perfect start, but they've got to maintain this lead now.
Yeah, a little bit of a rotation as Ope goes to this left-hand side, but steps on a nest egg there and does get slowed down and marked up as well, so not going to be the easiest of matchups. Should outrange him still. The Joker coming around the right-hand side wants to get a nice pinch in and gain some really good ground. Not charging his shots up too much, though, and although Zero's getting hit by them, he's just healing up nicely.
Yeah, let's see now if SK can assert some authority, because time will not be on their side too much. Good taps there from Dakar on the left-hand side. A good connection with the hypercharge as well. Marked up is OP now, who's going to be a lot more cautious on those shots. Joke on the right-hand side, doing his bits and getting some good taps for his time. The shielding comes through there as well. Going to put Buster in a bit of a tough spot with all this splash coming in, though. Now it's LLC that are looking to be a little struggling in this scenario, back on their spawn side now. And again, tough ask, because they've got to be able to maintain composure here.
OP rolling in now with the Peep and should be able to get a connection, but actually misses completely and hits the wall. Tough stuff for him there. I'm going to have to start from square one again. Zero just coming in with the hypercharge now, gets the slow-mo replay back and starts to go towards Yoshi, but chooses to back off. They do have quite a convincing lead now. 10 seconds on the clock and still time for SK to come back, but only 2 of them alive here.
Yeah, 2 takedowns for SK. They've got the blue star, but they do need to land the DPS right now. That's a 5th star on the head there. Siren is going to stay alive as well. A convincing start, not a single takedown there for SK Gaming. Again, good draft so far. I have my reservations on the Juju simply because the Meeple can heavily counter it over time. But even as time went on in that match, LLC did a very good job on defense and didn't falter either, which is not an easy thing to do against a team like SK Gaming.
Well, into the second game, LLC Esport have a great start, to be honest, and Yoshi going to go in and box Ramika here. Not really the person you want to be boxing, considering he's a thrower anyway, and especially when you don't have super, it can't be punished, so definitely something that Yoshi might need to click onto. But they do have the blue star this time, survives just narrowly, and Ramika survives on 550 HP as well, as Joker can't find that killing blow. Zero getting hit and forced to back off, but some good positioning for LLC, but this time SK don't need to overextend.
Yeah, the Master Fletcher gadget for Joker's not really paying off with the piercing of the environment. It's going to be a great synergy, though, between himself and Yoshi, especially when the dice go down. Being able to have that is going to be able to double down on what Meeple can bring. Oh, good pressure and some taps onto Zero. Will he be able to escape away? He's been juking wondrously well, but not enough to survive on there. 5 stars now. Better start for SK Gaming, no doubt about it, and the blue. So a night and day difference. But again, they've been struggling so far in the series. Now 7 as a pickup there of the Kai from OPE on the left-hand side does seal it. And now Peep coming in, gets the wall break. I think that may have been the intention, but it's hard to say sometimes whether it's a strategic move or whether it's a blunder. But regardless, I think it's going to work out well for them in that right-hand side now as things are opened up.
Yeah, got to be a strategic move there. I'm surprised Yoshi's not kind of saving these supers that he's getting for when he's boxing them in with that Meeple's Mansion. Could have had a few kills by now, but just slowing them down. He's had great taps by Yoshi and Joker there to bring him to his knees, send him back to spawn. OP quite low, but this Grigori doing some real damage in the back portion of the map. Yoshi having to use this Meeple's Mansion once more. Will box Sakai in, but now they can't do anything about it anyway.
All 4 stars there looming in, but evaded now by Dakai. Zero not so lucky. 11 now for SK Gaming, and they're looking like they're in the world of positions. Ramika's too low to contest it, and the rest of his teammates are too far behind to do anything about it. Look at the difference. 17 stars for SK Gaming. They get the game, but this set is still going to be up for grabs. They're going on the aggressive. You've already got the win, SK. You have to rub it anymore in their face. But this one, in this set, far from over.
Yeah, wants to close it down early there before the counter hits 0, and really nice stuff from SK, and it kind of all just depended on who got that blue star first. In the first one, just night and day as LLC were able to just kind of, you know, have SK pushing into them, and that's where the Buster and the Juju could really do their work. But when they had to go forwards and step out of line, step out the right-hand side, then it's going to be a lot more difficult. Oh, just gets blocked off the blue star, but I assume he's probably still going to get that one anyway.
Oh, that's a better master fletcher there from Joker. That piercing was on point. The Juju goes down. And now the Buster will pop Gadget, but a little bit prematurely as well. And I think that SK might be savvy to it. OP a bit low on the left-hand side. Damage gear rolled in, but chose to heal up. And I think that is the correct call as the Bell safely behind cover there as well. Another Dice Gadget in the perfect... Oh, look at that again. That synergy, as I already mentioned, really working out nicely. If Yoshi can get super as well, to combine those two is going to lead to some good securing of kills. At the moment, it's only 1 star in. If LLC can bring something to the table here and get the lead, then this might turn more into their favor. But they've got to remain composed, like I say, because so far, you know, SK are looking much, much better after that first game loss.
Yeah, and I will say as well, much better wall break there from OP. Gets all of those down instead of leaving just one of them opened up. And we also did see a Meeple's Mansion there as well. So bit of the grass broken and can't get as far up with that extended range for Juju. Joker now just going to gadget to the left-hand side from the right, and LLC Sport, although they are behind with 45 seconds left, they're sitting pretty far back.
Well, it's a hypercharge. The Zero there on the right-hand side. Now the push comes through. Will it be enough? And it's shut down immediately there by Yoshi, as it should be, and now super down as well. It's actually going to lead to LLC's potential demise here, unless they can juke their way around it. They're surviving. It's still just the 1 star and a chance, a glimmer for LLC to get this first set in the pocket. But they got the push, and there's going to be a calculated push of that with 15 seconds on the clock.
In he goes. That's going to be missed as well, leaving him quite susceptible to Joker. Has the hypercharge going as well. Might be able to pierce through. Does get it. Beautiful from him, and gets the hypercharge off in time as well. Ramika will be knocked further this way. And the synergy that SK have brought to the table in games 2 and 3, just unmatched than anything LLC can do. And that's going to be the first set going to SK.
Yeah, it feels like SK took that first game loss a little bit personal, didn't they, really? And the response was absolutely on point. Not willing to take any chances at all, and they just got themselves together, pulled their socks up. Again, a Brawl Cup ticket is on the line here, and it showed in their response.
They really did pull their socks up, and they did win that set in the end. Congrats to SK Gaming. It didn't look like coming into this first set that they could still win it. LLC looked pretty strong in that first one. Not really like the underdogs we described them to be, Trev.
Yeah, well, I mean, LLC definitely looked good in the first, but in the second and third, they just didn't look in the game at all. And that's a big issue for them. Just a slight change from SK Gaming must have made a big, big difference. But you see the stats here, 7 for Joker, and that is just ridiculous. Unparalleled. LLC Sport only got 7 across all 4 members, so 2-3-1 DPS, really, really solid from him as well. And yeah, SK may have looked quite poor in the first, to be honest, but in the second and third, it was just night and day.
I think for me as well, like, Joker was missing a lot of gadgets in that first game, but as time went on, he really started to land them, and you can see just how influential that was really in the way that the match went, especially in that synergy with the Meeple. It's quite important to land them.
Now we're gonna head over to Last Stop, not quite a long-range map anymore. Let's see if SK Gaming will pick some of those brawlers up regardless. They really like to ban out those tankier options, those aggressive options. The Leon was banned out, for example, and this round, maybe they need to revise that a little bit. For last stop, I do feel like an Ollie could be handy even for themselves.
Well, on to last stop we go, and it is, you know, kind of a little bit long range in the mid, so we might see a few of those brawlers trickle over, and I imagine Buster's not a terrible shout on this map either because of the amount of grass and the aggressiveness you can get on the line, but it's usually quite mid-range down in these bushier sides, so we'll see if that does come into play. And honestly, I really like this map. We've seen, you know, it's a kind of one where 8-bit can slide in, Gene can slide in to counteract in the mid, so bans are there, and it's going to be the Tara, the Squeak, and the Otis from SK Gaming, and the Chester, Janet, and Lumi from the LLC Esports side. So glad to see Lumi being banned out again, just a little bit strong at the moment.
Definitely a bit of a more variety on this map possible. Janet is the most picked brawler from SK Gaming last month. Makes a lot of sense LLC take her out here because she's just so strong as a gem carrier, or also on lane on a map like Last Stop. Buster, the brawler you just mentioned, Trev, is going to come out as first pick here, and Ollie technically still open. That's a very interesting thing that we have a different tank as first pick here. It seems like Ollie's still the strongest tank that we have in the game right now.
I'm honestly not surprised in the slightest, because I've got distinct memories of OPE on Buster on this very map, left-hand side lane, and going absolutely crazy with it. If we see a repeat, which I feel like we probably will, he's the best man for it. And I think that LLC should need to be aware that he is dangerous on this map, and a wall break opportunity might not be the worst of positions, or even like an amber to break some of that bush open to leave the Buster nowhere to really hide. It's quite a speedy brawler as well. When the slow-mo replay gadget combined with that can close the gap so quickly, and then you're really left out to dry. So it is a daunting prospect as a first pick for SK Gaming. Carl coming in now as well for LLC with a Gene. Pretty decent pairing as well, but Carl, despite being really nice in the meta, don't get me wrong, at the moment, it has its counters. You know, some knockback can really just kind of leave it high and dry as well, and that slow-mo replay on the Buster being one of those very mechanics to really shut him down quite quick. Hypercharge definitely has given him a new lease of life, no doubt about it. Heat ejector gadget, probably my preferred, but both are really viable in different scenarios with Carl at the moment, and I like that pick from LLC. SK Gaming, they need a mid. They got to get that idea right, locked in now. Let's see what they go for.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of expect it to be heat ejector here, right? Because against the Buster, as you mentioned, it's going to be, you know, the slow-mo replay to shut that down. You know, if you go in with the flying hook, you usually have a super in hand as well. So expect it to be a heat ejector. The Max will come in along with the Buster as well, so a bit more aggressive from that side. And obviously, if you pop the speed, you have more chance of being able to avoid these gene pulls, stay out of the way of the opposition. So I like this from SK Gaming. As I mentioned before, you know, we've seen the 8-bit a few times to be able to get out the way of the gene pulls, but we're going to see the Max through the mid instead, and the Roughs down the lane should be playing with these sandbags to tank out the gene pull if it comes towards him. But, you know, when you've got the sandbags there, it's very rare that Gene will even try something.
Roughs for SK, it's got to be for wall break potential here for sure. I mean, it's certainly a brawler which, despite having a hypercharge, really didn't kind of increase the amount of play or you know, sort of visibility for this brawler really much at all. I think the hypercharge addition is actually quite nice, and if you feed that over to the Max as well, there's a great ability to cycle with having all three brawlers having hypercharge. Although there's a beefy boy, and you know, certainly Hank did get tuned down with the balance changes, no doubt about that. Was a necessary change, might I add, as well. That sort of 50% reduction to the homing missiles, but it's still been quite the menace in East Asia, and I feel like it's still very much a menace in EMEA also. So a really nice finalized pick from LLC there, and one that SK have got to be quite cautious around. Certainly the problem is they're playing into the Max for me, and you know, that ability to really close the gap so quickly with your entire squad. When Hank is rushed, it's really hard to land those shots because the wind-up time for the damage to really like spread out, it takes a while to blow that bubble.
Oh, lovely from OP, and they pick up the right side as well as Yoshi and Joker do a really good job. It's going to be the Meteors instead of the sandbags rolling in from Yoshi, and that kind of cut off where Hank was able to go, but he's going to rotate over to the left-hand side and try and take this matchup against the Buster. Not going to be able to use the shield too effectively against the Hank in this situation, but Joker already has 7 gems above his head, and Zero is going to be popping that bubble nice and early, gets dragged back with the slow-mo replay, and should be going down. Now that super being used and hypercharge along with it, gets a bit of range, and he's going to continue to run down Ramika.
Yeah, I don't have my bets with LLC on that lane side with the Hank versus the Buster. I mean, the slow-mo replay, as you can see, just going to eradicate the the wind-up of that bubble again, and I'm really going to struggle to see what value he's going to be able to get with that additional movement as well, with the speed gear going down. You can see how much he's struggling. Pops the pin to say exactly the same story, and with the help of Joker, shouldn't be that hard to see him get taken care of now, or at least have to heal up in what is going to be the final opportunity to push this first game here. The countdown with SK Gaming now is coming in for Joker. Gems are split between OP and Joker, but so far they're not too deterred by it. There's a magic hand pull potential here from Marika. Can he hit it? No. And Vasira going in now as well as the last hope, but it's not going to be enough. SK Gaming gets this first game in the pocket.
Yeah, really nice from SK. They're in control for the entirety of that match. So good from them. And I mean, Hank really didn't do anything at all. I think he pretty much only got his first super right at the end there and couldn't make the biggest use out of it. Good defense on the gene pull as well. We saw a little Buster Shield being popped a little bit prematurely. Maybe tried to predict that the gene was going to use it and block it off, but he kind of held onto it and then ended up missing it anyway, which is really unfortunate for Ramika, but something that you've got to iron out if you want to beat a team like SK.
Yeah, it's on right side lane, which is the best hope going for the Nita, really, but Joker's going to be very savvy to it and going to be there to protect Yoshi at all costs. And again, it's OP for me on this left-hand side. It's just able just to be so confident in his performance now. The speed coming in, and look at this, going straight in. Slow-mo replay gadget as well. Gets good consecutive taps there onto Takai as now Zero coming in, and is going to be quickly going back out again. Joker's always aware to his presence. It's really quite great to see. Hypercharge there for Yoshi, just trying to close the gap slightly, but didn't really find much value for it, so having to rethink that on that right hand side. But so far, again, not too much contesting of these gems. There is a magic hand now available for Ramika, but that's the only thing really to say for it. LLC have yet to get off the mark in this series.
Vengeful Spirits used there as well to try and keep Joker and Ope away from that power-up, but didn't really do too much in the end. Ope has his power-up still, and Dakai bouncing that back. He's going to try and walk through the shield, but OP knows he's going to do that. Down goes Ramika as well, and that leaves a load of gems on the floor for the taking. Zero might need to use his super here to get a bit of a heal and stay in the mix. Dakai comes through with the gadget, but can't quite get a lot done with it. Joker being thrown that power up now, but already has one of his own, but it's just another one to kind of have there just in case someone goes down and comes off spawn, because they're all powered up and all doing so well. There's this gadget again, slow-mo replay. Still couldn't quite grab this gem. The countdown's not started yet, but OP just trying to make use of the hypercharge once more.
But you can see how dangerous he is. I mean, the fact that it was stained in my memory as to how well he played that left-hand side lane in previous time, it definitely wasn't a surprise to see how he's absolutely going to town. These stats are going to be absolutely phenomenal for him. Really coming in for his team now. One final ditch approach, but Joker has the speed, gets the takedown as well for good measure, and that's going to be a second set going the way of SK Gaming.
I mean, the first one, at least we had some pushback from LLC, but this one was just nowhere to be seen. Dominance from both of the lanes, dominance through the mid. SK Gaming just looking so well-rounded overall. Really great stuff from them. If it carries on like this, you expect them to close this out in the 3, and I think even before the game started, that's how we would have thought the game would have gone. After the first game in Bounty, I thought, okay, maybe I'm starting to think a little bit different. Maybe LLC might be able to take this to a 3-1, a 3-2 at least, but it's just not looking likely as more games go by.
Let's talk a bit about how SK Gaming made this happen, they were able to make it look so easy in this one. With the Max versus the Gene, they have someone to just dash out of the way whenever Gene has a pull. With the Buster on the left-hand side lane against the Carl, you have the gadgets to draw him out of his ult completely. The Carl doesn't have the usual pressure that he can bring to any team. And then the Ruffs on the right-hand side, simply because of his air support gadget, he was able to cover so much area that the Hank, whenever he was able to push up, got pushed back quite far, back into spawn sometimes even. So just lanes very dominant. Joker doing a phenomenal job as always on the Max. SK Gaming had draft here, and they just know how to execute the brawlers they were on super well. So as we see here, it didn't really look like LLC had any chance in this set. Now, I do feel like if they get a bit of a better draft in the next one, they could still turn things around here, Ark.
It's possible, but again, it's that draft knowledge which I think is like kind of like the weakest point for me at the moment. Picking the Juju into the Meeple, not going to be great on that particular map. On Hideout, again, there, the Hank final pick. What does it bring to the table? You see the whole picture, you can see the comp, and then your answer to it is Hank. Hank, like I say, is not a bad brawler at the moment. It is still very decent despite the nerf, but it just was not the answer in that position. Brawl really very little, was a bit of a waste of a lane, to be completely honest. So in Bell's Rock and Knockout, they've got to draft better. There's no way around this. They really do need to be able to see this a bit clearer and really land these picks, because this is potentially their last set today if they don't.
I want to remind everyone quickly, this is the game that decides if SK Gaming is going to the Brawl Cup in Dallas. If they win their quarterfinal match, they're already through and take the first of the 2 tickets from the others. Heading into draft now, Trev. We have pretty similar bans here. Lou now banned out as well. After all, it is a very open map, and Lou was one of the most picked brawlers. I think it was the most picked brawler in EMEA last month. We haven't seen him a lot yesterday there. I don't feel like he's that strong right now.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he's fairly decent, just fallen off the tiniest bit. LLC Sport will come in with the first pick, and they're going to go with the Gene again. Although it didn't work in the previous one, there's a chance it might be able to work here. It's definitely going to have some difficulties if they take, you know, more of a further, longer range comp, maybe a 3 throwers in there as well, because they'll just struggle to get the super, and especially struggle to get the hypercharge across the game in general. But SK Gaming do have the next 2 picks. They're going to go with an Angelo, and that's something that has that range. But they're going to bring in the Buster as well, something that is going to be able to give Gene a super, but you know, even if he does, you've got to be very cautious to pull something like a Buster in.
Really like this from SK. They get to go on the aggressive LLC now, and not an easy thing to do. And it kind of deters a lot of kind of brawlers like, you know, Grey, which would be fantastic here to have. Buster changes things quite dramatically. You know, you have to aggress this. There's no way around it. Gene's not a bad starting hand at all. Yeah, I'm liking it. You already banned the Lou, so pick the Daryl and start to think tanks, because you do have to push into this. The problem is they're going to be pushing into OPE. Like, I mean, that's like no easy feat whatsoever. Pairing this Daryl could be a healer, potential Byron, but you know, could double down with the tank option. I would suggest that I think a thrower for control might be the better approach here, to really have something to push with and force where SK are able to go with. Juju might not be the worst of ideas, but again, at this stage in the draft, yeah, it's a tough time to do it. I can see it, I can understand it. Ultimately, in this coin toss situation, it's always going to be a tough brawler to pick, because ultimately SK can always have something else up their sleeve. But I don't mind this from LLC. They've got the right idea playing into this Buster. But at this stage of the competition, for them being 2 sets down as well, you know, under a great amount of pressure with just that 1 game, yeah, and that opened the door for the Grey. Yeah, no pun intended there, by the way. But when you've got the Buster to your hand, it means that LLC can't pick it, and then you're able to snap it up at the end. It's a really, really great draft from SK Gaming here, and winning one of that it's Brawl Cup worthy, Trav.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like this from LLC looks like the kind of composition that they'd just throw a kit on the end of, right? But it was banned, so maybe that's something that you know, SK Gaming had seen that LLC had scrimmed with, and you know, they really do like that kind of composition, because you know, you'd usually throw it in with a Daryl as well. But yeah, I seem to think that Juju does have a bit of an issue here. You know, you're able to get that extra range because of the bush, but then you stood further back, so it kind of takes the extra range, you know, out of advantage. So usually see her push a bit further up here, and she's going to be playing on the right hand lane as Daryl just sits back and waits for the super, pretty much the same as Ope is doing, really.
Yeah, it's a great draft from SK Gaming, and a great amount of pressure on this Daryl to bring and deliver the goods. Really great catch there from Joker, the Master Fletcher there as well, really cutting it fine as the range was right on the cusp. Great walking cane there as well from the Grey, bringing the Gene into a perilous position there as well. So already SK Gaming playing the passive approach, but nonetheless getting some good value as well, keeping some good pressure on. And if the LLC over aggress here, you can just see how dangerous SK Gaming are in this position, like a dog in a corner.
Yeah, expecting Joker and Yoshi, sorry, to maybe, you know, collaborate on their gadgets a little bit more. If you're pulling, you know, Zero through a wall and getting the damage in, then Yoshi should be able to finish that one off, but seems to just be throwing out every now and again individually. And 3 supers available for the side of SK, and should be able to kind of go straight in here. Ramika's going to go for a roll. Beautiful roll, and another really good one as well. Joker low, but gets the TP away, burn down damage, and 2 of them fall at the same time. SK hold on, but a few good rolls in there to get some good damage, but just not the backup required.
Great accuracy, though, from SK Gaming. Yoshi playing a wondrous Angelo at the moment, and again this Grey pick, which I think it was such a smart thing to do in the draft, really. I mean, they secured it for themselves, and I think that for LLC picking the Juju now might be kicking themselves somewhat, unless they can get forwards and utilize this push on the right hand side here. Nice shielding from OPE, buys themselves a little bit of time, but there is a hypercharge for Ramika on the left hand side here, looming in just ever so slightly in a magic hand for the Kai. So this is really going to put SK Gaming to the test in terms of this defense. There's the pull, Joker comes in, he goes down, 2 versus 3 now, and SK Gaming on the ropes.
Yeah, really nice. Couldn't really miss that pull with 3 of them clumped up in a position like that, backed into the left-hand corner. But a hypercharge still there for Ramika as well as Dekai. The Vengeful Spirit comes out, but only hits a wall. Still a bit of a chance for SK Gaming to catch someone off guard, but it doesn't seem like that's something that LA Esport are willing to risk. Gadget comes through, hits Zero once again, but nothing able to follow up here, and OP being kept so devastatingly low for SK Gaming. Yoshi pushing up to the top of the map, getting hit by a few shots, and surely shouldn't be able to find anything as the gas claims him, and OP should be pretty close behind us. No more super will be gained and doesn't want to feed Dakai.
Yeah, good decisions from SK there, just to kind of accept defeat, because there were 2 hypercharges available, and they are a squad that can definitely 2v3 a scenario. So this is the right call. There's OP going in. In fact, all 3 going in as well. All hypercharges popped, and they get rewarded for it. 3 versus 2 in favor of SK Gaming. Quite the difference maker now, and quite a key point in this series as well, because the next round will take the game, and that's going to be a match point. It's going to be a Brawl Cup point scenario for SK Gaming if they can do just that.
I mean, that was lovely from SK. You see, Joker just, OP just popped his hypercharge, knew he was going to be able to catch up enough, and then Joker comes in with his hypercharge and pulls him into the range of the gadget of OP. Just such a large amount of things being used by SK Gaming, but it's so beneficial to make this a 3v2 situation. Yes, LLC might have a couple of hypercharges now, and it's a possibility, but not anymore. 3v1, Ramika all alone. OP's pretty much guaranteed to be going down, but he might be able to do it, actually. TP away from Joker so he can't continuously feed that super and keep going. And SK Gaming heading to match point.
The synergy of this SK Gaming draft, what's not to love, you know? Really is absolute perfection, and you can just see the level of prep that SK Gaming are coming in with here today. You know, I've got Humble to go all the way in my predictions, but I mean it's looking like SK Gaming are really on form, and I can't wait to see their run if they continue this up and get this first quarterfinals game going their way. For LLC, you know, it was that first set glimmer, wasn't it, that we thought, oh, where's this going to lead? But they've not really shown us anything since then, and it's make or break now. This is really the crunch time for them.
Yeah, another piercing connection there from Yoshi, and you do see Joker following up with another shot, but couldn't quite find the connection. Zero getting hit now, and there was another chance for Yoshi to finish him off there as Joker made a couple of connections and brought him low. Ramika has the super, one of his own over this right-hand side, looking to maybe try and get a roll, but into 3 of them, it's such a difficult thing, and they're just staying so grouped up, which does put them at risk of getting gene pulled, but also he doesn't really have anywhere near it at the moment.
Yeah, SK have done a great job, really, of depriving him of that utility. Now, Yoshi just really showing the Master Split gadget really barely in the faces, rubbing it in, and now SK Gaming get the upper hand yet again. A 3 versus 2. Grieger going to be coming in, but not really so much dismay for SK Gaming. He take care of it very quickly. Zero goes down, Ramika the last man standing, and he then quickly falls also. SK Gaming 1 round away now from locking themselves in for the Brawl Cup in Dallas.
A little bit of a waste of a shield there from OP, but just chose to use it just in case. Ramika managed to get a couple of shots in and keep him low. Another piercing gadget there from Yoshi as he gets the connection onto the Gene. Trying to work up some hypercharge, I imagine, but a pull available. Being grouped up like this is quite risky. OP's going to have to time the shield pretty perfectly well, or there's the Joker TP away.
This has got to be a gene pool to land, and you can't go for the grey, and you know, there's a lot of other worrisome things that SK could bring beyond that too. They're playing it patient. OP popping hypercharge now and is forced back LLC. He might choose to retreat. I think he's going to do just that, and I think that's the play. The gene pool is not something they want to play into. They want to buy time and just kind of like a bit of a fake out there. I don't mind it necessarily from SK Gaming. They're still looking very composed, and OP immediately has a shield. Nice walking cane there from Joker. A gadget pop immediately there for LLC. Did pay dividends now as the hypercharge from Ramika goes in. Gets 1, 2 versus 2 now.
Great block there with the shield on the gene pull from OP. Gets some damage in. Graw, the piercing shot again from Yoshi, and 2 of them pop at the same time. The burn down damage from the Angelo hyper. Beautiful stuff from SK Gaming. Although one player drops, the other 2 are more than enough to clean it up. And beautiful stuff from SK Gaming as they win this game, head to the semis, and head to the Brawl Cup as well.
They get their golden ticket, so congratulations to them once again from my side as well. Not only winning today's first match of the day, quarterfinals, they head into semis now and can still roll through, maybe even make it into the grand finals. We're going to find out later on. Again, for me, it was a bit of a draft diff here, as well as mechanically SK just seems to be a bit more experienced still than the LLC roster. It is their first time in the monthly finals after all for Dakai, Zero and Ramika. Yeah, the Daryl, he just couldn't dare to roll into 3 players, Orc.
I didn't see that many mistakes in their gameplay, honestly. It was just all about the draft. And against a team like SK Gaming, whose draft today was immaculate, I mean, they were always really kind of running uphill for me a little bit here. But I mean, I don't think it was the worst of showings. I think we'll probably see them again this year for sure in this season. They've got every opportunity to keep improving along the way. They've got some great results, and I think we'll see them again.
Again, yeah, for me it was really just the better tankier as well. Now, looking at the 4 teams that can still make it into the Brawl Cup, one of them has already made it, so there's only one more ticket to give away here. What a beautiful crown they got so far already. Is it gonna be Humblefoot or Eclipsar now that will snatch away that second spot that EMEA has? We're gonna find out later on, Trev.
I mean, they're all laying in the bottom half of this bracket as well. Humble versus Totem, which is looking at form, one that should go Humble's way, so they should get to the semis. And then Foot and Eclipse are esports fighting for their lives to go to the Brawl Cup in that the far bottom, as they're the 4th quarter final. Both of them have the possibility of going, but you know, it's going to be a very, very tough matchup between the two of them, because one of them is going to be cut off right there.
Certainly as well for like Humble, for Eclipse Esports, making the grand finals makes the outcomes of the other teams not really that relevant in that regard as well. So, you know, ever more important this month more than ever, make those grand finals, ideally win the whole thing and just lay down the mantle. But this is a region where things are already going to be starting to heat up, and everyone is going to be giving their all here today.
We're going to look at a bit more detailed checklist later on, as Art already mentioned, for Humble and Foot, for Humble and Eclipsar. It's really just you want to make it to the finals. For Foot, it's you have to make it to the finals and kick out Humble and Eclipsar somehow. Joker, now, the MVP, makes a lot of sense for me. He did a phenomenal job on the Grey. I already talked about his max here, Trev. For me, he really did not carry his team. I feel like all 3 players have played phenomenally, but he's that mid-brawler usually that ties everything together.
Yeah, I mean, I think any 3 of these SK players, I don't know they say this a lot, but all of them played such amazing Brawl Stars today, and yeah, I think any of them could have been the MVP, but Joker made some really good plays there with the Grey, with the Max, you know, teaming up with Ope, especially on that Buster, with the TPs in, the walking came back, and then the slow-mo replay. They managed to pull it off a couple of times, so close to even doing it a third, and it's just something so surprising that it managed to take them off guard multiple times. Is just such good gameplay from SK and Joker in particular.
We'll see SK later on again. If that was a 3-0, I don't think the next one is gonna be one. It was one of the toughest one to predict, at least for me here. We have Papar Supermassive versus Team Heretics, and Team Heretics isn't playing with their full roster. We're gonna touch on that a bit later though. First, you get to see some beautiful highlights, and we're gonna head into a very quick break.
I don't know. I can't think of any brawlers that epic that have 6,000 HP. I literally can't think of one. Meeple. I don't know. Lumi? Really? Oh my god. I can't think of one. No, I don't know. Gray. Oh, Gray. Okay. There's too many brawlers. I have no idea. Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, B. I can't think of epic brawlers. I don't know why. I do not know. No, I don't know. Oh, Poco.
And we're back with the April monthly finals for EMEA. We have one ticket already stashed away, Kenny. SK Gaming took it. Did you kind of see that coming?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, expectation was SK to 3-0 there. I know last month it wasn't the best result for them, obviously an early quarterfinal exit, but last month was chaotic. You never know in EMEA. They took care of business when it mattered most, and now they've got a ticket to Dallas.
That is so true. You just never know what's going on in EMEA. That's the best statement I've ever heard, I think, about this region. We're heading into Papara Supermassive now versus Team Heretics, and Ark, one of those two teams, is showing up with a new player.
Oh, indeed. Gas hopping in there for Team Heretics again as a result of that little hiccup during the fair play process. But nonetheless, a very, very talented player, and I've really got high hopes for him. But let's touch on Papara Supermassive here. You know, I think if you were to ask Tomsy, he probably wouldn't know how today's going to go because he didn't really seem that confident on knowing anything in that little segment. But I will tell it for him. He's been doing pretty well recently. They've been getting some very good results, and a 3-0 scoreline in the qualifiers of April against Eclipse Esports. Last month's monthly final champions says to me a bit of a statement. To stay in the upper bracket and qualify that way, I think speaks volumes.
For Papara Supermassive, it's the second time in a monthly final. They already made it into February, not into March though. And we got a super short statement from Tomsy.
Heretics are definitely, I think, an underrated team, and we'll definitely see how they perform in the monthly finals.
I didn't lie when I said it was short. Now, Kenny, so far it looks like Heretics has the upper hand here, but for both of them it's been a bit of a rocky season. Both of them didn't even make it into the March monthly finals. They're back now though in April.
I think both these teams with a lot to prove, and you know, last time that we've kind of seen them on broadcast was this Champions Invitational that happened in January, which was really competitive. I mean, a great start to the year, but now that we're rocking and rolling with monthly finals, you know, this is 3 months behind us at this point. Team Heretics with the new player, and Sup have definitely underperformed in my mind as well. This is a team that I had high expectations for coming into this year, so I think the fact that they haven't necessarily made that run, that they missed the last monthly finals, I think both these teams should certainly have a chip on their shoulder.
And as mentioned, both teams are coming into today's monthly final after not making it into March. Both teams, the other side is Team Heretics. We touched upon it already, Ark. We have a new player here, Guest, that almost made it himself with Enraged and Ellen into the monthly finals. Now, he still gets a chance to play today. I'm sure he's very happy about it. Team Heretics, I don't know how happy they are about Lena, unfortunately, not being able to play today.
Yeah, suddenly it was a very close scoreline for Gas to actually almost be himself, losing to LLC to a 3-2 scoreline. Very, very close. But again, like I say, I think it's a great substitution to bring in. Certainly for Heretics, looking back at that previous scoreline at the Invitational, they were playing with their full roster. We've got to bear that in mind here. For Team Heretics, certainly last month not qualifying was a big disappointment. Probably one of the biggest upsets we've seen in this region so far. And I think they've really got to make today count. They've got to get the semi-finals and put themselves back on the mark. They lost back in February to Humble to a 1-3 scoreline. It's got to be at least the semi-finals here for me today.
Multiple elements make a great team. You need those aggressive players, but you also need the brains, Kenny. And you could say that Rage is that for Team Heretics.
I mean, 3 out of 4 of his years playing in the BSC made it to a World Finals. And obviously, when making those World Finals, it hasn't done much more than maybe make outside a group stage, an opening round, whatever that looks like. But nonetheless, established player, primary drafter for this roster. I think there's a lot to love about this team. And coming to the year, I think a lot of people had big excitement signed by a big org. You know, this was kind of a roster of 3 members that we never saw coming playing together. Obviously, Lena, the regular in this roster, but Lena, Drage, and iChaos definitely wasn't on my bingo card of 3 players to play together. They were looking in great Brawl shape coming into this month for me, but obviously with the last second roster swap, historically, that hasn't worked out great for the win rate. It was really hard for me to pull the trigger, but I thought this was going to be a sneaky team coming into this month, similar to yesterday and past times where we had last second substitutions. Just hard to count on that when there's so much talent in this region.
So they didn't have the best of months so far. It's safe to say, I think Team Heretics only made it to the semifinals in February, and the quarterfinals was the end for Papar Supermassive. Both teams, however, have shown some great potential this month. I really feel like it could be the day where they turn everything upside down and maybe even make it to the top of this leaderboard. They're not playing for the Brawl Cup, so this match is out of that race, but it's still a very high stakes match, I feel like.
Massively so. I think for these two teams specifically, they've got to really bring in the results here today. You know, for Heretics, they had one of the best scrim win rates of any team this monthly final. But of course, that was prior to the substitution, so a lot of pressure really on Gas's shoulders, and I really hope that he can display some great promise, because I know him. He's a fantastic player, very dedicated, and again, is competing currently within the BSC and coming within a glimmer of being here himself for a monthly final. So I think that for all the substitutions that Team Heretics could have got, I think he's really the best that they could ask for, and it's a question of whether they've had the time really to really harness that kind of synergy and how they're going to go about their drafting. Obviously they got Drage, right, but so it's always the case with a new player coming in as to where they will fit within a roster.
We're heading into draft number 1 here, Papar Supermassive versus Team Heretics, and we are on safe zone. If you think Heist, there's one brawler that comes to your mind that is not really played anywhere else, but he's pretty good on this map specifically. Chuck is not banned out, he's slipping through and immediately picked up here by Papar Supermassive. I do feel like he's still in a good spot, but it's not a first pick worthy brawler in my opinion, at least, because you can still play some comps that can counter him. You see a lot of Charlie, you see some Cordelius, or you just out damage him with, for example, a Cold, a Colette. Bell is a brawler that we've also seen very often yesterday, Kenny. I do feel like so far I like the Team Heretics draft a bit better. If it's of course only 3 brawlers so far, so not easy to tell.
Bell was the most played brawler yesterday, tied alongside Carl, didn't drop a single set, which is honestly pretty wild. Bell always somebody that's been in this high play rate category, and not somebody traditionally that is really known for something like East Asia, but in EMEA is such a common reoccurring brawler, so curious to see if that trend continues today. I think we'll zigzag a little bit from some of the brawlers that we saw yesterday. We've had some interesting ones already here in EMEA, touching on Buster like you guys did earlier, somebody that shows up a ton. This isn't a map that I necessarily see that. I think so far this is pretty normal to Chuck early, something that's kind of old-timey with Chuck. I do agree with you, Sonny, that it hasn't necessarily been as good, but Arc, I think pretty standard stuff here so far. I mean, EMEA hasn't had anything too crazy yet today.
Yeah, I mean, I like to mention Charlie that Sonny was saying, because, you know, we saw that a lot in East Asia yesterday, more than I was expecting to see for sure, and it's would definitely shut down the Chuck. But my concern here is that the Bell is going to struggle against both the Chuck and the Daryl, which I assume she's going to be more the defensive kind of role, with the nest eggs there as well to have that slow effect, and the Mark, of course, to be able to whistle brawlers down quickly. But I mean, this is a really gnarly looking push here. You got the Biome behind the Daryl to force his way forward. You got the Chuck keeping you really against the wall the whole time. Colette now coming in for Team Heretics. I don't mind it, but there's a lot of HP to have to whistle down, and you know, the Colette's going to have not the toughest time doing that very thing, but they're going to have their work cut out for them, certainly. And that's the problem, that you kind of want to have to go on the offense from time to time as well, certainly with the hypercharge. You know, so to be on a Colette pick and be on the defensive as much as they're going to be, you know, how can they really get forwards on the map? Those takedowns have got to be swift, because you've got to kind of beat the spawn cycle in that regard to get into that position to bring in the offensive damage for your team. So a tough ask. I think Papar Supermassive here, we've got a solid draft, and it's going to come down to how well Heretics can defend against it.
2 underperforming teams so far this year in EMEA. Now each of them trying to advance just a little bit more up this leaderboard. A very important month despite Brawl Cup not being on the line. Off to the races, and Team Heretics already in the middle. Gas left hand in. Tomsy trying to charge up this train station and get this freight train rolling. There's the third mark. Filippo now diving in. Bell forced away. Drage defending, and Tomsy already moving up the middle of the map. Gets the takedown, and more importantly, establishes complete control of all of these posts.
Yeah, that setup is exactly what you want to see if you're playing Chuck the whole way to the safe, and again the little rebound at the very end as well to maximize the damage, and they get gas on the way. Oh, that's not looking good. But Chaos and Drage are on a safe. Nice hypercharge from Drage. The mark was on point. Getting some continuous shots into Tomsy as well now, a little bit on the safe too. But Tomsy is the ticking time bomb. That's the problem. And Heretics have got to land as much damage as early as they can, because this game is going to be swiftly over.
That's a tough breakthrough. Filippo even getting to the other end without damage is good value. Gas goes down. Chuck back and forth he goes. Already down to 5%. One little runaway and should be good enough. Chaos is popping this hypercharge out of desperation. No other choice. One little tag will do the trick. Papara Supermassive taking game number 1. I think this is an interesting composition in battle. Anytime you see Chuck at a professional level especially, you either have to have an insane defensive comp to stop Chuck, or you outrace him. They've got the Colt in their back pocket. They have options to get up close. They just have to beat Chuck to the punch, and unfortunately for them, they weren't quick to the draw.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the clock, you've got about 1 minute and 15 seconds. If, you know, Tomsy gets a good setup early, that's the amount of time that this game is going to last, and Heretics can't defend against it. Bit of nervousness from Gas, I feel. A couple of his shots from that last game as well. Kind of want to see him settle himself down a little bit and bring something home for his team, considering, you know, how important that Colette pick really is to deter against the Daryl. Let's see how Tomsy fares this time around. And I want to see Heretics evade a little bit away from the train tracks too, because they were getting caught off guard too much for my liking in that last game. Oh, that's a bit of a disgusting shot on the way through, and Filippo now able to continue to aggress this.
More time they buy, the quicker Tomsy can substitute in. It's been a two-handed kind of dragon here. We've got Tomsy rolling in. We've got Filippo rolling in, Tomsy with the train station, and it's just one after the other. As second they defend Chuck, now you got to worry about Daryl, and it's just been this continuous turmoil for this Papara Supermassive team. Team Heretics just don't seem to have the way to defend it.
Yeah, look at the heals for Tomsy to just continuously go back in again. I'm liking the Byron pick. Not really my favorite brawler in Heist, not by a long shot, but it really works here. Now can Heretics lock themselves in to get this damage? It's going to be a bit of a base race here. 21% left for Heretics on the Papara Supermassive safe, but then we will Chuck is going there. Tomsy goes back and clears house. 5%, 4% now. And I don't think, they shut him down all the way through. Heretics have still got a chance here. Filippo's the last remaining chance. Gas goes in the nick of time, and Heretics steal it from their clutches. How close was that?
You gotta race him, and if not, you gotta play insane defense, and Drage hit the one shot he needed to. It was a one-shot kill as Chuck ran that train post up the middle of the map. If he had missed that shot, it is a set going the way of Sup. And now instead, we've got a game 3 here. Team Heretics looking much better there in the second half.
Wow. That was impressive, but a lot of pressure, isn't it, really, against this comp, which I much prefer what Papara Supermassive have got going on here for sure. Tomsy, though, struggling that last game to get through with the train tracks, but now left open here, able to survive and gets the final pole down as well. So that's a good start up. Filippo on the right-hand side as well has the roll. So not a good place to start for Heretics. Not at all, and a bit of a fumble there as well going down. All thumbs, it seems, so far for Heretics. Let's see how they fare as the match continues on.
Got to focus Tomsy on this left-hand side. Great job of Drage and Chaos to look towards that left-hand end. Salty, though, doing good at holding his own in the mid as Filippo just sits back. He can passively charge that super, and now he's got it activated. Here comes the train. Now comes the barrel. Now both of them connecting to this high safe, shredding through it as well, but it's very close. Team Heretics certainly in this.
Great jukes from Chaos there as well, has hypercharge too, and this is going to be the time to push, because again, with the amount of times that Tomsy can keep cycling in with the Byron heals, time is against Team Heretics massively here. It's go time now, and they've got to land these shots in the Vey. Tomsy coming back through. Here's the hypercharge of Chaos, and they missed the splash as well. Great juking there as well, but now look at this, 7% is all needed. Tomsy goes in and should clear it up for Papara Supermassive then to take this first set. It was a close affair, but to be honest, Papara Supermassive really had that one in the bag. It was Heretics that looked far more nervous, in my opinion.
I feel like there were several missed opportunities for Colette there, to be honest with you. Definitely some fumbles on that super, whether it was on defense, whether it was on offense. Came down to 16% at the end, but nonetheless, they just couldn't match the output. I do feel like the mechanics, they, like you said earlier, hadn't quite settled in. I think they got to calm themselves down and really find themselves here.
To me, it really just looked like the nervousness still had a bit of a grip onto Gas, especially in that first round. He couldn't do as much with Colette that we were looking for. As I said, coming into the raft, I think to counter out the Chuck, you either need something to directly address him, like a Cordelis, like a Charlie, or you need to out-damage him, and Gas those two brawlers just had to do that. I do think the nervousness is warranted. They're sitting at the 6th spot in the leaderboard right now. This match means so much to Team Heretics, finally making it into a monthly final again after not making it into March. And Team Heretics in the upper bracket of this month's monthly qualifier, they were so close to taking down Humble and got reverse swept in the end. They were 2 up already. So yeah, I feel like Gas is nervous. The whole team might be a bit, and it makes a lot of sense to me, Ark.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, coming to the match, how much time have they already had to prepare for this? It's a last-minute substitution, and despite how good you are as a player, it's fitting into an already established roster. That's not easy for any squad in any region. I don't care what anyone says, and I think that at the moment, Team Heretics are doing the best that they can under those circumstances. If Liamo was in that squad there's no doubt in my mind that they would have been able to defend against that. They were able to really come together. I think Chaos was shooting great. I mean, he would have got onto the safer ladder as well with an aggressive player like Linan, and that kind of already established chemistry, which is just going to be understandably lacking a little bit here today as well. So I think that it was just a very smart draft as well from Papara Supermassive. If you're not going to ban the Chuck, you've already got to have that maneuvering for it, and that may have been where things got a little bit untangled, because the Colette was the brawler ready to do that, and Gas did seem like he was missing a lot of shots and did seem to have a few nerves, but that's what you're going to have when you're not really kind of in a monthly finals position on a monthly basis, coming in under such enormous pressure as well. I mean, you got to hand it to man for even being able to say yes to such an opportunity, because he knows what it would mean more so for Team Heretics to be able to advance in these points.
I do feel like we don't want to take away from Papara Supermassive's success either, though. They played phenomenally. They had a pretty good draft. The Chuck was an idea that we have seen often before, and Heretics should have known how to counter it, but it just didn't work out for them in this round. Now heading into Shooting Star, a very open map, a map that has been in the competitive map pool ever since we can think Brawl Stars started. We can think back, and Grey is going to be the first pick here. Usually what we see here very often are those long-ranged options like the Piper, the Nanny, the Angelo. Some of them are banned out already. Carl is out of the way as well, so no Blue Star right from the start. We've seen that very often yesterday in East Asia. And Grey, I do like the option. With the Walking Cane, you have a lot of mid-control. You can always sweep in and get those stars quickly as soon as you have your super or even a hyper charge ready, Kenny.
I think Nani's somebody that's a good grab here as well, especially on Shooting Star. It's a long-time great brawler, and when so many sharpshooters eligible, especially when you only see Angelo in that equation in the ban stage, Piper, Bell, a lot of these brawlers are still available, so having Nani in your back pocket I think is good. It's not the easiest brawler in the world to play, it's not the best in the meta, but it is very good and very deliberate at taking care of those sharpshooters.
Yeah, I'm liking so far what I'm seeing from Heretics, to be completely honest. Especially with the Gus, it's a great brawler to have. Melody is open here as well, so the pairing is on the table here. Nanny, always great to deter against the Piper, so Papara Supermassive probably not going to be thinking into that. They might go throw it here. I mean, they've got the Grey already, so they're going to put then Team Heretics in a position where they got to bring a throw of their own, but the Grey's going to have a good time into it. So they've gone for RT, and again, we saw a little bit of a ban for RT earlier, which is a rarity, but again, always a very, very good brawler to have in big open maps like Shooting Star. That amplified shot definitely makes you rethink your aggressiveness, and the legs go down and like an aggressive push like a Melody, like I'm saying, then that's a great deterrent of that. So they're starting to read through what Team Heretics are saying in this draft already. Mandy, I like it. I really do. The hypercharge, of course. A tough thing to dodge around, and there's Cass got the shades on. He's feeling the vibe. But certainly the RT, yeah, it's going to deter against the Melody now, which may have been the plan for Team Heretics. So I'm liking what they're reading through the lines with.
RT's been on the rise, especially in scrims. When observing SUP this week, RT, Grey, probably the two most common brawlers that I noted on this map for them, so no surprise that they get both of them here. Mandy in a solid spot, I think, in the meta. I'm curious to see what Team Heretics do here as well. I think the Grey would maybe deter them from Thrower, but that's exactly what they're going to commit to, so we have to worry about a Walking Cane. They could get real cheeky and go Grand Piano, but I think it'd be much more normal to go with that Walking Cane. You see it occasionally, depending on maps like out in the open, but for Grey in general, I think that's definitely the play. I think Tick is just super frustrating to deal with. It's not an early pick. I think you have to go last. You have to be confident in the selection or the matchups that you get. I think they get a little bit of chip damage here. They've got their long range with Gus and Nani, so why triple commit to that? I think maybe get a little more diversity in there, and I think this is maybe a good call for them.
Yeah, Tick often banned out on this map as well. Like, I mean, so many times really has it been banned out and finally left open. It's definitely much more controlled to slow the pace down and just allow the nanny to really do its thing. So Chaos then sort of be doing work, and Gas goes down very quickly on the left-hand side again. Just a little bit out of position there, and it was a good gadget from Salty. The Walking Cane connection there had to land to ensure that takedown.
And a little bit of a standstill in the mid. Team Heretics just controlling this map. Tomzy doesn't mind playing from afar, and especially with the lead, it's not going to be Sup necessarily pressing the issue. It's going to be Team Heretics trying to move forward. Drage playing the long distance, just trying to chip away. It's not somebody that's necessarily going to frag out, but it's certainly somebody that's going to help Nani and the others alongside them. Salty's so close to going down. A blue star swing would have been huge for Team Heretics, but unfortunately just not going to be in the cards.
Yeah, so regressing again, and there's the legs go down. Filippo then doing work for his team, but a solid amount of juking there from Drage leading up to that moment as well, because certainly if he'd bet the Grey would have gone in onto the nanny, and that would have put Chaos in a perilous position there as well. So that's what it takes there for. Buy some time, get these peeps rolling, and let him bring home the stars for his squad. Going now, Round does break the left-hand side, seemed a little bit intentional there as well. But again, as time's ticking, it's Heretics that are still behind. They got the blue star, however, so any team, any player rather for the taking will give them the lead.
And Filippo is still just in that Jackie form, just stand still, no distance, just hoping somebody gets real close to him. Until then, just waiting to get that super and teleport back. Either that or he's going to have to go to the graveyard to go back to normal. Drage with a hypercharge in hand, and now going to activate it. Tick moving forward, that's a kill and a huge swing. Now the red roster's got a lead.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're running Hack's gadget on the RT. You haven't got the opportunity to then come back out of that scenario. Now, good aggression. Now, a hypercharged Pete, most importantly, coming in as Tomzy falls as well. Now, leaving Filippo all alone. 10 stars to 5. Is Team Heretics putting a game on the board shortly here? Filippo with one last-ditched attempt. Not gonna happen. Nice game in the bag there, despite Gas getting a little bit overzealous in that left-hand side lane on multiple times. They get the job done.
Drage seems pretty locked in. I feel like he's been playing really well. On the Bell earlier, his defense was awesome. I thought the shots were connecting. Feeling pretty good about him. And I think there, too, a great veteran move, just having the timing right with about 20 seconds to go. Activating that hypercharge, knowing Filippo is vulnerable right in front of his face, daring him to get close to him. Guaranteed tick hypercharge connects. They grab the kill, and then they're just able to back away. That's what made the difference there in game number 1.
Nice gadget there from Tomzy. Walking Cane from Salty onto Gas as well. There's Drage out there in a perilous spot, and they could both go down here if they're not careful, trying to body block each other back. Filippo now closing the range. There's the Hack's gadget to secure the kill as well, giving the lead then to Papara Supermassive. Tickhead, not a problem there on that right-hand side either. So a very good starting hand for Papara Supermassive under pressure to make this set count.
Got the blue star, but definitely would rather have a star lead, I think. They're going to have to try and wing this one once again. Nani, left-hand side, battling against Tomzy, low HP, but Mandy has so much range, she can just back it up. And now she also has a super, too. She's hiding this grass, going to be looking to try and catch somebody off guard. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, if Tomzy can line up this, it'll be juicy. Gas and Drage might be the ones to do so. Nice Walking Cane as well on the TP there, just for Goodwish, and puts Gas straight into the Lion's Den there as well. Salty still out of position there as well as the shots from IKS try to land. He's down to 1,000 HP now for that shot from Drage, but should be able to heal up now accordingly now. A 3-star lead for Papara Supermassive, 40 seconds on the clock. Filippo can't really put the legs down either, as we saw in the last game just how much that really left Papara Supermassive under lots of scrutiny now. He's ticking down 2,700 HP, a TP away. Drake with the hypercharge as well, and this could be a really, really good scenario because it's going to be the blue star to Heretics, and now they can go back and retreat with 20 seconds to hand.
Tomzy lost his super as well in that. And now with 15 on the clock, it's Sup that have to respond. Tomzy left-handed, Salty low HP has to buy time, and Drage lobbing up shots just to keep the distance. Hypercharge available for iChaos. Pops it. Purple button goes down, and Tomzy receiving heavy fire. It's a pull on the Drage. He's the blue star carrier, low HP. Dives in, swings through, and grabs a double. Sup tie things up.
Surgical. Absolutely surgical there from Papara Supermassive. It was a great Walking Cane there. The shots from Filippo were absolutely on point. The TP right the spot now for Heretics. Chance for a set or be 2 sets down. Salty out of position here as well. Drage knows it, has super to hand as well. Filippo low, 745 HP above his head. And now a peep coming in. Tommy's got to tank this. He does so. Keeps Filippo in. The question kills him back up. And now Salty on the right-hand side. Nowhere to go. And Drage knows it, gets it done. 2 stars in the blue for Heretics.
Lucky that Hax didn't get that kill. Such low HP, so Gus can back away, and now Team Heretics on the defensive side, they're the ones with the 1-star lead, and oftentimes that's what you'll see. It's aggressive until you don't have to be, and a good blend of passive-aggressive is the best way to play at a pro level.
Well, Power Supermassive now just slowing down the pace, getting that mid control, and just reasserting. But there being only 25 seconds here. Tomsy's very low here. It's forced back. That's going to delay the onset of Salty and Filippo. Salty's low himself here. This is good from Heretics, but they've got to hold on better than the last time round.
No super for Salty. That was one reason that the lead swung. Nothing for Tomsy either. Filippo now activating his super from a distance and just diving forward. Sure, he can float over water, but he has to get closer. Drage, hypercharge, tick head, connects. Not enough, though. Destroys it. They don't step on it, but Gas puts his foot on the metal, and it's a 4-1 lead. Team Heretics tying things up in our match.
How hard was it to stay there? Gas puts his foot on the metal instead of Gas puts his foot on the gas, Kenny. That's what I want to know. That's some serious control there from a dedicated, talented caster right there, man.
Well done by both of you. And the players on the field as well. Both sets so far have been a very close affair. It was 2-1 in both of them. And so far, I feel like we don't have a clear picture of who will take it in at the end. It's 1-1. It's even out now. Oh, it's 2-0, never mind. The last match was very close. Yeah, it could be a 1-1 in my opinion, honestly. Again, in both sets, at least one game was taken by Team Heretics. It looked like they had it in the bag here as well, but it just... something in the end is always missing, Kenny.
I do feel like it's been pretty evenly matched, though. I mean, both sets, Team Heretics definitely in the mix, and I could be wrong. I do think it was a 1-1 right? Didn't think I was a crazy person.
I corrected myself.
You're good. No, you're good. Yeah.
I didn't want to throw anyone under the bus.
It was that close, though. It was that close. Honestly, a really impressive set overall. I think both teams kind of had some mistakes going in there. I don't know if you agree, Ark, but looked a little shaky. Definitely not a perfect one. A little bit of sloppy back and forth, but at the end of the day, Team Heretics just pulled through.
Yeah, I mean, that was a grueling set for Heretics, no doubt about it, as Para Supermassive are relentless in their assault. They really are, and again, I'm really enjoying their drafts. I'm really enjoying what they're bringing in terms of mechanics, and again, as time ticks on, I think it goes against them, actually, as Heretics are able to get a bit more confidence, get a bit more chemistry, you know, have everyone settle down and just kind of get the shots to land and the accuracy to follow. It's all about confidence, and that only grows over time, in my opinion. So I feel like Para Supermassive have to try to speed things up somewhat, because going to a fifth final set might not be the play, and that's where I feel this one deserves to go, honestly. Both sides are really giving it their all.
And both sides have nothing to lose, but a lot to prove. They're not playing for the World Cup here, but they can still make it to LCQ, to World Finals in the end. I think that's still a goal to fight for, and they're definitely showing up the biggest guns they have here. They definitely show up with a lot of motivation to win today. So far, it's a 1-1. It's a very close match, just as we expected, honestly. As mentioned before, I had a tough time to predict here, Kenny.
I think so too, and genuinely, Team Heretics looked like a team that I thought could be contending coming into this month, obviously before the roster change. Gas has a lot of pressure on him, huge opportunity to show why he deserves to be a part of some top-tier teams in this region, and I think they're taking this really seriously. I think especially with the substitution right now, Team Heretics are playing with a little bit of house money. If they could steal a win here, make a semifinals, heck, go even further, I think a big deal for them. Subs, a team coming in this year, though, I thought would be in contention for one of those LCQ spots, maybe at their ceiling, one of those World Final spots, and so far, obviously missing last month, not a great debut in the opening month. They're a good team, but we haven't necessarily seen that jump in results, and I know in past years they've had that. So looking to see here if in set number 3 they can change things up.
Heading into this draft now, third draft overall. Ollie's banned out once again. Those two teams really do not want to see this brawler on the map anytime soon. We are in Gem 40. It's all about protecting that mid. You can either go all 3 members of your team into mid and try to fight in there. Janet has been picked up here so often, I can't even count it. Probably the best mid that you can have here. Can always get out of harm's way when she has a super ready. It offers also a lot of visibility thanks to her gadget. I do feel like that's a great pickup here from Papara Supermassive. And now from the side of Team Heretics, usually we see a lot of tanks come out of that team, but Lena is not on the roster today, so could that change their approach today, Ark?
It's definitely going to make a difference for sure in terms of the draft, because you kind of want to lean into what everyone's comfortable doing. Certainly if you've got someone in your squad like Lenan, you want to lean heavily into tanks. It's not going to deter them from the Buster first pick, and again, not too surprised to see it. Certainly would have been if you told me that last month, but that's the difference a Hypercharge can make, and Buster was always slept on, always in my opinion slept on. Certainly in game modes like Brawl, I mean, that's definitely his best mode here, though I think it's certainly one that's very, very viable. It's down to now Supermassive as to whether they want to kind of like do any wall break on the bush side to really kind of take away a little bit as to what the Buster can bring. If locked into the mid, very, very hard to push into that kind of brawler without a thrower, and it's not really a thrower friendly kind of map, so it's a great pick. Hank here can work big time. I mean, certainly in that middle area, you know, you've got a little bit of time to your advantage. What he's playing into so far doesn't really have too much to stop the advance of that attack. Certainly the slow-mo replay of the gadget of Buster can do that, and there's a third and final pick still to come, so I don't mind it. Hank's definitely got a lot more weaknesses now since the nerf, however.
Hank, one of the most common picks on this map for SUP this week. Very successful map for him. And another one that was a surprise pick I was looking out for because of the Buster was Jackie. Don't think it comes. Oh, there it is. There it is. I didn't know if it would come through as a double.
The big bucks, Kenny.
This is why we do our homework, folks. Look, Jackie is relevant because Buster is relevant. It's a great Buster counter because up in the face, it's hard for him to reflect all that damage incoming. And when he's up in her face, she's the one that's going to win that battle. And so now you have to think on the other end, they've got a lot of health points. They've got Hank plus Jackie, a solid mid in Janet. You think you have to counter tanks here somehow, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a Lou for me or a B. You kind of need that extra range. Yeah, I think now you have to send Stu kind of on that lane side. Obviously, you want to hold down the middle of this map, but I do think despite having a direct tank counter, well, now they've got so many health points in the map, B can only focus one brawler at a time. Now Stu and Buster have their work cut out for him.
Now you're just showing off, Kenny. I think have you got a different feed to me, because like you're seeing something before I'm seeing it on my end. Like, I think there's some sort of hacks going on here.
This is why we do our homework
a little bit here as to what's going on here. I feel like I'm getting shortchanged. But yeah, it's don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Papara Supermassive. I'm also a little bit worried by it, to be honest. It's definitely not the kind of everyday standard draft that you see on Gemfall. But that also tells me that they're very confident in the approach, and their drafting today has been absolutely fantastic. So I'm willing to let this go and see how this fares. Already they've got the mid control, and Drake is able to stash away but get some taps for his time. That's a great pinch between him and Chaos now. Is a good retake, a good break as well for Drake, getting set up there as well. It's a good start from Heretics, but as time goes on, you know, how's Felipe going to fare on this Jackie?
I think it's a good adjustment from them to go with the gadget that breaks these walls too, because traditionally you're going to see speed zone, but with this composition in particular they're facing off against and having to be on their side now, it makes too much tense. I think that's a great adjustment coming in from Team Heritage with some good draft knowledge. Salty going to be able to fly into the air, and that's one reason Janet is still so valuable. I don't think she's the brawler that she necessarily was last month with the balance changes. Still somebody so good on Gym Grab though.
Tomsy, we're already struggling here. Felipe goes in onto Gas, and there's a slow-mo replay pop. He does pull it off, but Tomsy's still in position. Great slow, great timing there. The Chaos to tap away, and then secures Tomsy down, leaving Salty all alone with the 4 gems that he can't contest now, spawning from the mid to add to his pocket. Oh, great find there from Drake on the right-hand side as well. Felipe couldn't get the upper hand there, and now Chaos, the person who he wants to avoid, is drawn ever closer to be able to get those land taps to land. It's really, really good control there from Team Heretics now, but the gems still closely tied, however, and some time for Papara Supermassive to get themselves together here.
That's a great point. Honestly, SUP, despite definitely losing this KD counter, are pretty relatively close in gyms. If Drage grabs this one, it's going to be a countdown, though. Chaos focusing the back lines, and now Tomsy moving in. Oh, no! Disaster strikes! Drage pops a hypercharge just to try and stay alive, but Salty touches down. Jackie collects gyms, and they're going to leave those up for Salty. That's a great call. Janet is definitely the one you want to have those gyms over Jackie.
Oh, stealing candy from a baby, isn't it, really? There's a takedown, but the gems are still always Salty, and this Gas going with the hypercharge. Can they close the gap in time? They get the gadget off as well. Salty goes down. The gems are dropped. They're back into the house of Filippo, and Drake's doing his best with the help of Chaos to try to get him taken care of. They're going to have to reset yet again. And now Felipe is healing up. 10 seconds, and they need the full squad to be able to even have a chance of getting Felipe taken care of. Now Gas joins the mix, but the time is not on the side of Heretics. The show should be safe and sound, and they are.
Whew, it was close. I mean, back and forth each way, but that's the potential when you have so many health points. When they're just encroaching on your territory a smidge, they take advantage. Hank pops hyper, a super goes out. Not only can he heal himself, now he's up in the face with so much health, and alongside that, Jackie can get aggressive. Obviously, towards the end there, it got sketchy. If Jackie's your gym carrier, she can't be aggressive, she can't really defend. You're getting 0 shots onto the enemy team with her because she's so up close and personal in terms of range. Filippo just willing to dive in here early. We saw this last time as well. It may cost him, but he's just building up that super ever so slightly.
Yeah, tough scenario there for Team Heretics. They were looking so good until that fumble as well, and you know, it was very, very well played from the Power Supermassive. They were able to get the pinch off, and still, those gems, it was Thomas who was getting the good taps into Chaos that did it, and then from there, it was really Team Heretics struggling and scrambling for the gems to pick things back up where they left off. A good start so far for Para Supermassive, Salty with the 5 as well, and the perfect person to have those gems and getting a beautiful angle there onto Gas through that little tiny crack of the wall. Not an easy thing to do whatsoever. Allows Felipe to come in as well, and goes instantly down though, over aggressing, and that's going to force back both Tomsy and Salty, allowing a little bit of an opening door here for Heretics.
Tough couple engagements here. I mean, off the rips up, we're looking so good, but Filippo just hasn't been able to get the job done. And when it becomes a 3v2, they can focus each of those tanks a little bit more. I feel like this one adjustment Team Heretics have made really well. Not only are they breaking walls to make it easier for B, a little bit easier for Stu. Now they're taking down one tank at a time. They don't have to worry about the 21,000+ health points all at once. They're just taking care of business one brawler at a time.
Much better for Heretics. There's a bit of a flank going on here, and this is where things went wrong last time round, and it's going to be Filippo there on that Jackie. IKL's there, still holding onto the hypercharge, and I think that's a good reason why, as the Rattled Hive is able to get the job done between himself and Drage. And now the countdown, one that Team Heretics have got to hold on to this time round if they want to stay with it in this set. Tomsy pushing the left-hand side down, the hypercharge coming in as well. There's a chance here for Drage to get around the situation. Gas comes in, a pinch point, gadgets, but the gems are dropped to Tomsy on the right-hand side, and that's exactly what happened in the last time round. It's Drage all alone. It's happening all over again. Deja vu in our very eyes, and this could be the set dwindling away from Heretics. It's all gone disastrously wrong. Drage is going to have to do his best here all alone, and it's again going to be Papara Supermassive that come out on top.
Team Heretics were better for 80% of that. Unfortunately, Sup were the better team in the countdown, both games. That's just, it's just a huge comp and a huge, yeah, and I mean, it definitely hurts to watch as well, right? Because Team Heretics, I think, adjusted really well. Because in scrims when leading up to this week, Jackie was something that came out a good bit for Sup. And I think it's a great brawler into the Buster specifically, but I don't think that was the issue there. I just think it was the insane amount of health points, and even with the walls tearing down, B's a great brawler. I think one of the better brawlers in the game right now, to tell you the truth. Great on a lot of different maps, great into tanks. Can only focus one brawler at a time, though, and I just feel like they got overwhelmed on several instances when that countdown came, when they had to move towards the back of their spawn on defense. They just couldn't get a grip on things.
You were spot on there with Draft, Kenny. Jackie definitely made a difference here, but as you said, B just too good here on the side of Team Heretics. It really looked like they had it twice. It was a steal. It was, yeah, almost as easy as stealing a kid's lollipop. It looked like, at least for Para Supermassive here. Yeah, taking the gems away twice. Tomsy did a phenomenal job. And for everybody that got their votes in to earn those Pro Pass XP, I hope your votes aren't looking too dire. You can still pass through those trivia questions and earn some points through that.
For me as well, like going into that game, seeing that Jackie drafted, would never really been able to anticipate that would have been the Brawl responsible for that first reset, and that was the moment right there in the final game where Tomsy was able to get the reset and steal the gems back away. But it was a valiant attempt from Heretics to buy some time in that game, but again, just not quite enough. You really just need to hold on to them, take it to that third and final game, and then you've already got in the back of your mind some confidence going into the third match. Now they're going into this next set in much the opposite way. They're going to be down in the dumps, and kind of, they know, they're not going to be wondering where it went wrong. They know exactly where it went wrong, and that's where it can really unravel quickly. When you're kind of left wondering, you can just kind of forget about it and move past it. But when you're able to be there lingering, you don't want that as a squad.
Papara Supermassive has the opportunity to close it all out now. That could be their match point set here, the last one we see from those two teams today. I fear for Team Heretics here. They looked pretty strong in both. They at least got a game in the first two sets, both sides, and then in Gemfort, they just didn't really play for the objective, it seems. They got so many kills, but sometimes it's not about making kills. On Golden Gulch, however, they should be luckier with that, Kenny.
This is a map that Sup have been very good leading into the week, just post-quals when our meta's kind of been established a little bit more. This was one of the maps in Gym 4 were one of the maps that I thought that they looked very good on. Two sets that I definitely think favored them, but Team Heretics, it looked good. I mean, honestly, the kill-death ratio, very strong in that last one, I imagine. Unfortunately, just the last 30 seconds of both games didn't go their way. Gonna have to have a huge bounce back here into Ark's points. When you have a timestamp of where things went wrong, that's hard to cope with. And now Team Heretics have to go into this with a lot of pressure on them and remember that they have to get a win. If it's another early exit for them, it's not going to be great for the leaderboard.
Very true. They both still want to play for the LCQ slots for the World Finals. Getting into draft now. First pick on the side of Team Heretics. What's it going to be? Do they have that secret weapon here, Ark? What would you pick up here? First pick.
First pick for me. I was going to say Buster, but it is banned out. I think wisely so here from Papara Supermassive. That's one that I said already today. I'm not a big fan of Angelo first picks these days, simply because there's just a lot of counters for it. On this particular map, though, it makes some sense, certainly. I mean, I'm looking at the potential combination with that Meeple as well. So I think that's where Papara Supermassive need to consider heavily. Do they want to take that off the table away from this Angelo combination that we've seen already today as being a really nice one that SK Gaming have already demonstrated that can bring in the goods. Certainly, it's going to be a very tough set for Heretics. They've got to come back in this series now. Ollie, tough brawler to play into as well, can put the pressure on and just has so much HP and potential speed as well off the back of various star power choices. It can be one that can put you on the back lines. That's where Angelo does not want to be. RT as well, always very, very safe, especially in these opening, ending moments in Knockout. You want to have a kind of RT on your side. Those legs are devastating.
Angelo is a first pick. Honestly, you saying you're not a huge fan of it, but honestly, I'm kind of surprised it didn't enter the ban stage. Kit is somebody that's been really popular on this map in particular, especially for Sup going into the week. So I think this is a little homework being done by Team Heretics. You don't always see Kit in the ban stage. I think it's a little bit trickier when you get Gray and Daryl, some of these more unique brawlers, because it leaves things open. Ollie's been a huge factor on this map, and in the response, they're going to go Lou. So that's a direct answer into that brawler. I still really like where Ollie's at. RT, like I've mentioned, has been on the up in terms of play rates for this region, a lot of regions going into it. I think it makes a little more sense on Gold Arm Gulch, maybe compared to something like Bounty, where you have one life towards the end games. You can also stamp the static and just kind of get those kills up close or against those walls. So don't really mind this for either side. I like where Angelo's at in the game. Lou is a little trickier. I think that has to be played into Ollie, and you really have to get your values worth.
Hank coming in for Heretics. Like I say, I think that we're going to see a fair amount of Hank today. It's not an insta-ban brawler anymore. The hypercharge has been addressed slightly. That 50% less honing missile. So I don't mind necessarily they put the pairing of the Lou there as well, as that would have been a great brawler for Papara Supermassive to consider going into it. So more as a way to bring it off the table really than something to kind of maybe have against what we're seeing so far with the Ollie the RT. The Lou doesn't really have a place. It's going to be a deterrent of tanks for sure. Lily coming in with Papara Supermassive. I quite like the pick. We have yet to kind of really see Lily escape the game mode of Heist recently. It seems like that's where she's really found her footing. So it'll be interesting to see how Papara Supermassive play this. Sure, there's some escape maneuvering with Angelo and the gadget, but I mean, Lou as well has some defensive maneuvering around Lily. So that's my kind of reservation, really. Heretics have got some answers to it. Lily, though, her biggest traits, really, for me, is being able to be very unpredictable. You never really know where she's going to be and when she's going to strike, and that's the point. It kind of puts that paranoia into your squad and making communication ever more important for Heretics to really nail in this set, because it could be their last here today.
Mental warfare definitely on this map. Both sides going to be starting on the left. Normally it's blue, left, red, right. But this time they're all going that way. And Sup just transferred themselves over to this right-hand end. Chaos can float over water. One reason why Angelo is so popular on this map. And there's that super pesky gadget. That's one reason that Lily has been so relevant more recently. Mostly in Heist, like you mentioned. But here I think they're just going to be counting on the fact for the survivability, the surprise factor, all of it contributes.
I wouldn't mind seeing Mr. P come out there into the Angelo just to kind of really keep Para Supermassive in a good commanding position against it. But so far, sitting back, wasting their time out. Not going to really have any brawlers here that can kind of earn passive utility over time. Just literally waiting for the time to strike for the Ollie to go in and try to get something of some value here. Tom's, he puts the legs down. That's a big blunder there as well. And Chaos punched it big time here as well. Salty going in as Filippo is in the realm. Not the best of times. Going to leave 3 members of Team Heretics to get it done. And the final man to fall will be Filippo. A very strong opening round for Team Heretics.
I'm with you. I think just a stake there coming out of RT, and they just didn't have a super